Today on an all-new Dr. Phil.
My daughter was kidnapped by sex traffickers.
Lured to a hotel room by an online friend.
I woke up in a black closet. They made me sleep with over 20 men a day.
Her mother speaks out.
She's not the only victim. But you think that I'm a little bit worried about me?
And what she says...
You sound resentful towards her.
...may surprise you.
If your child goes missing and you haven't seen them in 2 or 3 weeks, you're not a victim?
Let's do it.
Have a good show, everybody. Here we go.
This is a safe place to talk about hard things.
Stand by, Dr. Phil.
I try to be an emotional compass and point you in the right direction.
In 5, 4.
I am not giving up on you.
Go, Dr. Phil.
How you doing? All right, hey guys. Okay. All right, raise a hand if you have ever said something you later regretted. Yeah, raise a hand if you've ever posted anything hurtful about someone else online. Yeah, we've all said things we don't really mean in the heat of a fight, right? Sometimes you can just say, sorry, but when it comes to social media posts, you can't always hit delete. If you have a teenager, pay close attention to what happened to my guest today. Desiree says she'll never forget the day she got into a screaming match with her teenage daughter. After that fight, her daughter vented on social media. What happened next is a parent's worst nightmare.
When my daughter Hope was young, she was a straight-A student.
I was a normal, regular kid. I loved to do theater. I loved soccer and cheerleading.
Hope was filled with innocence, joy, and ambition.
When I was 4,
Daughter Hope was kidnapped by sex traffickers. Hope was forced into prostitution.
it all started because I posted on a social media site that I hated my mother. A woman messaged me back telling me that I could go stay with her and we'd go partying. She showed up within the next 45 minutes and I was gone.
The suspects target girls who post comments about a negative home life on social media sites and chat rooms.
The 14-year-old, oh, I hate my mom. She doesn't understand me. I can't wait to get out of here.
That's how police say William Jacobs and Shayla Williams met a young North Texas victim who was just 14 years old.
I walked into the motel room. I see a man sitting in the corner. The first thing that came out of his mouth was, "Take off your clothes so we can take these pictures." And I'm like, no, I'm not gonna take my clothes off. He said, "So you wanna do this the hard way?" He hit me a couple times and after that I was out like a light. I woke up in the closet. The closet that I was in was about the size of me, right here. After they took me out the closet, they took crushed up pills and they forced them down my throat. After they force fed me pills, I would try to move my body, but I couldn't pick myself up. They made me feel catatonic. After they drugged me, I had my first client.
Hope says she knew if she wanted to make it, she had to find a way to cope.
In order to survive my kidnapping, I had to create an alter ego. They told me that my name wasn't Hope anymore. It was Sophia. So that's the name that I took on. Sophia is the girl that walks with her head high. She was the one who dealt with all the clients and the Johns and beatings. When I was with the traffickers, they never fed me. My source of food would be picking it out of the trash, drinking the water from the faucet. I bit my nails a lot. One time I was taking a shower and he busted it open and beat me with the belt because I locked the door.
The couple is accused of trafficking the teen in 8 different states in only a 3-week period.
The traffickers made me sleep with men in each state. Over 20 men a day. I could never be Hope again after that. I was never going to be the same girl.
Hope's mother says her daughter's terrifying ordeal claimed more than one victim. She says at times she feels just as traumatized as her daughter. She also says before today, Hope has never wanted to share her story or any specific details about what happened.
Hope's not the only victim. I'm a victim. During the time that Hope was gone, I felt lost. It took a lot of strain on my job, my relationship with my other kids. It was an emotional roller coaster. I tried to make up for things financially for Hope to compensate for what she had gone through when I really couldn't even afford it. Like, She called me, she's like, Mom, I need to come up there. And I'm like, are you coming to school? Are you gonna finish your school? Because you know that's the only reason why I will let you back in, but you're not willing to do that. So then you call me and you tell me you're hungry, you need money. If I had it like that, maybe. But when I'm 60 years old, is she gonna still come to me and say, I need $200? What's gonna happen when something happens to me and I don't have the financial means to take care of me? Don't we all have to work for our retirement? Don't we all have to save for our future? And if I'm constantly giving it out, don't you think that I'm a little bit depressed? Don't you think I'm a little bit discouraged? Don't you think that I'm a little bit worried about me? Is that selfish? I love Hope. I love her. But she's not the only victim.
Hope, I'm glad you're here. Desiree, I'm glad you're here. You seem to be very traumatized by what happened to your daughter.
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
I didn't know the things that she shared with you. Traumatized in the manner that it was difficult. Throughout the whole proceedings, you know, it was about helping her and wanting to do the right thing. But every time anybody reached out to her to help her when she was returned, if it was not under the circumstances that she felt that was deemed appropriate or that she wanted, she would resist. So it became a struggle to help. And then it came to the point where, how much more can I do? What can I do? Do I give up my life dedicated to cater and to fix what was broken? I had 2 other kids, you know, and I was struggling, period. And I felt like the other 2 were being neglected, and I felt bad. I felt guilty.
I'm glad you're here, and I'm glad you're safe.
Thank you.
I can't even imagine what that had to be like at the time and what you went through. You went from posting a snippy message on a site to within an hour you were out of your house and gone, right? When you wound up in that motel room getting hit, was there a point when you believed you were never going to get out alive?
I'm pretty sure I thought that was the end, especially when I woke up that morning in a black closet, not being able to see. I thought I was dead.
Yeah. Up next, I have some questions for Desiree.
Hope was no longer hope. It was very difficult and was very trying, and I understand that she's not the same child that I had at one time, and she may never be that child that I had.
Are you resentful towards her? And later, you say you're a victim too.
If your child goes missing and you haven't seen them in 2 or 3 weeks, and then the grandmother gets a phone call saying, they're beating me, you're not a victim?
Monday on an all-new Dr. Phil.
Just leave me alone, you psycho! I'm the psycho, look at you.
He tapes his wife's tantrums.
You're beating your head against the wall.
She claims her husband torments her.
How hard did you hit her? Hit my head.
Hit her.
That's not how hard you hit her. How hard did you hit her? When you're doing the recording, you're a good director.
Stay away from me, ow!
But the camera wasn't running when you were touching her. You didn't bring us that video, did you?
That's Monday.
And you said as days went by and you got drugged more and more, and days turn in 2 weeks. At that point, you actually started to adopt an alter ego to kind of, it's what we call in psychology, disassociate from it and just become another person, just become disassociated from it and become another person to get through it. Tell me about that.
Well, I have an alter ego. Her name is Sophia. She helps me cope with the situation. All of the bad things that I've ever gone through in life, definitely a lot of the sexual abuse that I've encountered, it goes onto her, you know, and all of that stuff, it makes her a stronger person. But me, if Hope was to be herself, she probably wouldn't be standing in here, wouldn't be on this show right now.
So you're saying the girl that started out in life, you're saying you don't think could survive this, so this alter ego was generated to be tougher, to be...
There's two different sides of my personality. There's Hope, the one who has social anxiety, who'd rather be locked up in the room all day and not come out, doesn't want to see anybody, doesn't want to talk to anybody. You know, she wants to be alone, just her. She'll go into her closet and sit there because that's what she knows. And then there's Sophia, who can go out and be around people, smile and laugh and do all the things that a normal person would do, but better.
And this is a survival mechanism for you.
It's my coping mechanism.
And when you were rescued by the police, and it was a raid of sorts. And when you were rescued, at the time, you were listed as a runaway.
Yes.
Right? Because of this message that you had written. Rather than an abductee, you were listed as a runaway. So when you were rescued, they actually put you in jail.
Yes.
When you eventually got back to your mother, how did you two get along?
After the situation, I went from one reality to another reality. And being isolated for so long, going back into society, it wasn't easy on me. I didn't go back to my mother's house, but coping with the family in general, I couldn't. I tried going back to school, and the minute that I walked in there, I walked right back out. I looked at all them children, and I thought to myself, like, I'll never be like them, you know, innocent with, you know, the glow of being childish and not having any worries in the world. And so I walked out. I never went back.
And how do you two get along now?
We're distant, and I want to clarify something.
Okay.
Okay, that was not the first time that Hope had taken off from the house.
Right, I understand.
Okay, so we didn't know if it was another weekend getaway or if it was going out partying and if she was going to come back. We didn't know. And she was on paper on probation. And so when I talked and I reached out to the probation officer, they advised me to call the police and file Hope as a runaway because that was my next step. Okay? She was never considered an abductee until after she was recovered. And then within the detention center, see, what happened to Hope was no longer Hope. She looked at these individuals as families and even protected them. So it wasn't simple to get her to cooperate. It was very difficult and was very trying, and I understand that she's not the same child that I had at one time, and she may never be that child that I had. Okay, so, and I don't think she understands what the ordeal that we endured as a family, wondering whether or not we were going to get a call or not.
Are you resentful towards her?
I'm not resentful.
You sound resentful towards her.
I wish that she would just, how can I put it? We're all victims. We're not all victims, but we were victims. I've gone through things. Our family's gone through things. And I've always taught my children to be strong. And that even though things happen, sometimes there's a reason that they just need to be able to try to learn to get help, overcome the situation, and face life head on.
I understand that. Why am I getting that you feel resentful towards her?
The point is that when I come to you at my lowest, on my knees, begging.
You don't come to your knees. You give me ultimatums.
Okay, no, I don't want your money and I don't want your time.
This May.
When you were with her, were you involved with other women?
Yes. Hey, I'm not married, yo. I'm not married.
The stories are more intense.
He grabs my face and hits my head against the wall.
That did not happen?
No.
It's sad how much you lie.
No, you're the crazy. Can I talk now? Because he keeps speaking over me. That's not class. Learn some class.
The accusations are more shocking.
The video is my husband calling my grandson sexy butt.
I miss you, sexy butt.
You touched that boy, isn't that the truth?
I didn't touch any child.
What were you afraid was going to come out if you went to trial?
The scams are more outrageous.
She had sent him over $200,000.
He's my man. It's my life.
He doesn't exist.
Go to hell.
We'll leave her out of it for a minute.
We'll get her out of here then.
I'll just give to you, you bitch.
And the secrets.
He's doing steroids.
I never said I was on steroids.
Are more personal than ever.
I'll get up and leave right now.
Do whatever you want to do.
It all happens this May.
He marches out of here. You ought to have him by the ear, dragging him out here and say, "Set your ass down." Why am I getting that you feel resentful towards her?
I'm not resentful towards her. What I'm resentful towards is that a family member that was causing a situation that became either financial burden or a crisis where my house was falling apart. My job, you don't know how much time. I had to meet with Homeland Security. I had to meet with FBI. I had to meet with the courts. I had to meet with like 3 different attorneys at different levels, going to the juvenile detention center, going to the county courthouse. And it's not that I don't love, I love her with all my heart. And anybody on your staff will know that I try to cater to her as much as I possibly can. But as soon as I say something or as soon as I do something and I don't meet what she wants, she's not the same person. How much more of that do I deal with? I love her with all my heart. Not once did I miss a visitation. Not once did I miss anything. If they said I needed to jump, I said, how high? I said, how high?
So you say that you're a victim too, is your point?
You don't understand. Who wouldn't?
You don't know what I understand. I'm asking you. You say you're a victim too. And I just want to be clear, you say you're a victim too, but you're not saying you were raped 20 times a day. You're just saying you're a victim too.
No, I'm a victim in the sense as me, not just me, her grandmother, her family that cared for her, that every night went to bed not knowing whether or not they were going to find her, not knowing whether or not she was going to be alive. Don't you think that is traumatizing enough? You tell me if your child goes missing and you haven't seen them in 2 or 3 weeks, and then the grandmother gets a phone call saying, they're beating me. You're not a victim? I'm not saying in comparison, there's no comparison.
Well, let me play a couple of the things you said.
Okay.
In your tape and I'll tell you why I responded. There are a couple of bites, things you said that I find unsettling.
Okay.
So let's listen.
You call me and you tell me you're hungry, you need money. If I had it like that, maybe. But when I'm 60 years old, is she gonna still come to me and say, I need $200? What's gonna happen when something happens to me and I don't have the financial means to take care of me? Don't we all have to work for our retirement? Don't we all have to save for our future? And if I'm constantly giving it out, don't you think that I'm a little bit depressed? Don't you think I'm a little bit discouraged? Don't you think that I'm a little bit worried about me? Is that selfish? I love Hope. I love her. But she's not the only victim. Let me respond. You know when this happened? This didn't happen a year ago when this happened. This happened 3 weeks ago. And 4 weeks before that, she asked me for $40. She's in one area of the state. I'm in another area. I told her if I could help you, I will help you. So I gave her money the first time. 2 weeks later, she gives me the money. You know what her response to me is that if I don't help her, she's going to result to what she knows how to do.
No.
How does a mother react to that situation?
First of all, I'm not like your other children that you do take care of. Because me, even though I'm 17 years old, I go out there on my own and I take care of myself. Whatever I want, I get it. But you know what? That's not the point how I get it. The point is that when I come to you at my lowest, on my knees, begging.
You don't come to your knees. You give me ultimatums.
Okay, no, I don't give you ultimatums, Mother. Like, that's not the thing. Is that when I ask you, okay, Mother, I would like for you to help me out with $40. Did I ever ask for anything more than that? You know what? And at the end of the day, that's all I'm getting is the 20 and $40 here and there. I'm not asking for much. And even that, I don't even call you. I don't talk to you. I don't even want your money. I don't want your money and I don't want your time.
Hope, I don't even have the money to give you.
Okay, Hope says her mom wants her to just move on with her life and forget the past. But is it that simple? I plan to let her mom and Hope know what I think when we come back.
She cannot continue living the life she is and be productive at the same time.
My mom has never been a shoulder to cry on. It's never been about what I've gone through or what she's put me through. It's always been about her and her problems.
At 14 years old, Hope was abducted and held against her will and became a victim of sex trafficking.
They can't even match the music. They can't even rap, they're just black producing. Now they wanna crack the new shit. They just wanna act, they done bath the new kids. They can't even match the music. They can't even rap, they're just black producing. They just wanna crack the new shit. They just wanna act, they done bath the new kids. Sorry big man, with your big life and your kick man. Sorry big man, with your big life and your whip man.
She was lured out of the house while her mother was home and in the other room. So after being rescued, is Hope's mom more involved in her life, or is there still distance between the two?
I do try to listen to Hope when she wants to talk. The difficult thing is that she just wants me to listen. There's a lot of pain inside of her, and there's a lot of anger, and sometimes she takes that out on me. When I do try to engage her, it gets on her nerves, and so she lashes out. But she really needs to heal. Even as a traumatic situation as hers, life is still gonna go on. Someone's gonna have to pay the bills. She cannot continue living the life she is and be productive at the same time. She's still a victim, and she never got herself together.
My mom has never been a shoulder to cry on for me. It's never been about what I've gone through or what she's put me through. It's always been about her and her problems. That's all she cares about.
Okay. I'm just going to kind of do some talking here to the two of you, and let me start with you. The trauma in your life and in this family didn't begin the day that you were abducted. We know that. We know that there were a lot of things that happened in her life before this. We know that this family has had a very difficult time along the way.
Yes.
And do I not, you asked me, do I not think it would be traumatizing to have my child abducted and all? I'm not going to tell you I know how that would feel, because I don't know how that would feel, and until you've been through that, for me to tell you I know how you feel would be ridiculous. Unless you've been through that, unless you've gotten that phone call, unless you've been through that, you can't imagine that. So, yeah, I think that I can only speculate that that would be very, very difficult. I can speculate how I would feel if I ever got my hands and arms back around them again. I understand that life is difficult and it is trying. I know this was a difficult relationship before this happened. I know that it's been a difficult relationship trying to reconnect after it happened. And one of the things that I know for sure is when these things happen to people, it affects more than just the person. It affects everybody, and the fallout goes for a long time and a long way, and it affects everyone. And I hate that for y'all. I absolutely hate it. And it leaves scars that run very, very deep. We know that this wasn't the first trauma that has occurred in your life, and things have happened that have changed you. And frankly, you've not had much help with that. You've found a way to cope. You found a way to survive. You found a way to cope with that. And it's gotten you through. You're still here. You're still vertical. But you're 17. You're still a child. And we also know that when this kind of trauma happens, a lot of development stops. And so even though you're 17, a lot of development stops. And so you've not had a lot of help with this, because it takes very specialized help and very specialized healing to get past this. I don't want this to define you for the rest of your life. What happened to you early on in your life, not once but twice, when you've fallen victim to predators in your life, I don't want that to define you. I don't want this to define you the rest of your life. I don't want that to happen. You are so much more than what people have done to you, and to let that define you would be a tragedy.
I'm not a prostitute. I have men that take care of me like sugar daddies. In order to survive, I'd meet some poor guy that would fall in love with me, until they realized that I hated their guts.
Monday on an all-new Dr. Phil.
Just leave me alone, you psycho!
I'm the psycho, look at you.
He tapes his wife's tantrums.
You're beating your head against the wall.
She claims her husband torments her.
How hard did you hit her? Hit my head.
Hit her.
That's not how hard you hit her. How hard did you hit her? When you're doing the recording, you're a good director.
Stay away from me, ow!
But the camera wasn't running when you were punching her. You didn't bring us that video, did you?
That's Monday.
For me, there's no such thing as love, and I don't get any pleasure from sex. When I'm with a man and there is sex involved, they know that they are going to pay me. I'm not a prostitute. I have men that take care of me like sugar daddies. In order to survive, I'd meet some poor guy that would fall in love with me and take care of me, until they realized that I hated their guts.
Somebody in this world with the right intention needs to step up and help you. And I want to lead the charge in doing that. I want to help you. I've asked someone to be here, right here. This is Kathleen Parrish right here. She is the clinical director of the Cottonwood Treatment Center, and this is a holistic behavioral treatment program, and they've been at this for over 25 years, and they provide really an environment of understanding and safety. It's located on a 35-acre, really a scenic campus overlooking Tucson. And they got a long history of working with people that have suffered from PTSD, particularly victims of sexual abuse. Because, as I say, it's very, very specialized. And we asked them to come here today. And just wave Kathleen so she can see who you are. And I want to offer to you to sit down with Kathleen when we finish today. Because I want to make available to you to work with these folks from Cottonwood to help you get on the road to dealing with this, not coping with it, not creating an alter ego to tough through it, but to truly heal this from the inside out and give yourself a chance to be who you truly are. And that's just a gift from us to you, and I want to make that available to you. This is not something that you have to do. It's not something, but it's just something that I want to offer to you, and that I want you to sit down with Kathleen, because you can really help this. Don't you think, Kathleen?
Yes, I think so. And I think helping, you hope to learn to integrate your story into how you understand yourself so that you don't have separate parts of how you operate. And at Cottonwood, in our Sweetwater program, you have 90 days and a lot of help, a lot of supports to learn to tell your story. Telling your story over and over and over again helps you learn to understand yourself, to learn your resilience, where you're powerful, where you're strong.
And you can go through details about this, and you can listen and be part of this. And I think this would be a huge life-changing event for you. I just think it would be
If I can add, you were right. Hope's been a victim, and at 6 years old, I put her in counseling. I was going through a custody battle at the time and dealing with the courts again. During this incident, too, we followed through with counseling as well. But in order to heal and in order to get the counseling and for it to be effective, she has to be receptive and willing to work at it. And it's not easy. And I don't think that she wanted to face it, because the hardest thing that she told me, and when they had her in custody the first time, when we go to detention and we go to court, we're not supposed to touch them. But I did ask special requests to be able to give her a hug, and I did hug her. But because she was in custody for something else that she had done prior to this incident.
Okay, what's your point?
My point is that
because we're trying to move forward.
I understand we're trying to move forward, and I appreciate that. But at the same time, we did try this before, and I'm hoping that she'll be receptive to accepting it and being able to understand that it's much needed.
Okay, thank you. Up next, is Hope's mom helping or hurting this situation?
I do believe that I have the right to explain why I react the way that I act today.
I think you've explained that several times.
All right, but I don't think that you've actually received it.
Have you recently gotten remarried and are struggling to blend your new family? Do your children disapprove of your new spouse, and this is causing your home to be in constant turmoil? If that's true, you're not alone. And if your home is being torn apart because your new spouse and kids are just in conflict and can't get along, and you're being forced to choose between your spouse and your kids, then I want to talk to you about it. And if your adult children are refusing to be part of your life because you've got a new spouse, you may want my help with that too. So go to drphil.com if any of that applies to you, and tell us about your story, because we're doing a series on blended families. We can't do this show without you, our studio audience.
If you are going to be in the Los Angeles area and you would like free tickets, go to drphil.com and click on Be in the Audience.
Because we have a lot of fun here, don't we?
Or you can call 323-461-PHIL. That's 323-461-7445.
international. Girl, what's your name? I have to know. Ain't no one else in your lane. Let's fill this car with gas and go. No hesitation, I'm on it. If that's the way that you want it, that's cool with me, so let's ride. Let's go somewhere that you lie.
When you get a guy's attention, you might feel really important for a few minutes, but popularity is not the most important thing in life. You can feel good about respecting yourself and not giving yourself away to people who don't respect you.
So at what age is it reasonable to monitor your child's cell phone and internet activity? As long as you can.
It blows my mind that women would engage in risky sexual behavior. It's dangerous and you can get hurt. And you don't have enough value in yourself that you would want to be in a healthy relationship.
Okay, I'm back with Hope and Desiree, but before we move on, you were telling me you're unhappy about something. Tell me what
No,
it is.
it's just that I appreciate the gesture. I am blessed to know that someone will help my daughter, okay? But I don't want to say also that the opportunities weren't there. There were several different facilities and several different places that we attempted and we tried. And I know we're moving forward. And even when she was released, she was still leaving the home for days at a time. I was still going through the nightmare.
I found my comfort in other people's homes.
We're really wanting to move forward.
I understand, but if you put me here, then I do believe that I have the right to explain why I react the way that I am today.
And I think you've explained that several times.
All right, but I don't think that you've actually received it.
Well, I've heard you several times.
I know, but I don't think you're actually understanding where I come from.
You mean I don't agree with you?
I'm not sure if you agree or disagree, but I don't think you understand.
Okay. Well, you've told me several times.
I know.
Would you like me to tell you what it was you said to me so you know that I've heard it?
No, believe me, trust me, I appreciate it very much, and I appreciate your hospitality. I said, but even the exposure here alone, yourself will be able to be a testimony and witness that it's very difficult at times. I love her, but it makes it almost impossible when somebody keeps hitting you and hitting you and hitting you. What do? Do you continue taking the beating?
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
Do you understand where I'm coming from now? I told your staff, I'm not a trained lifeguard. I can't jump in and save someone if they're drowning.
Where do these two go from here? We'll talk about that after the break.
Paint whatever picture you want. That's fine. I'm just telling you.
You've got the paintbrush, and the next sentence out of my mouth was that I want to offer you help and support with this as well, because I think there's a lot of stress and trauma that you've been through as well, and I think you need help and support as well, and I want to offer you the same thing.
I was on my own at 14. The only difference between me being on 14 and you being 14 was I was able to get a job, and I was able. I'm 40 years old right now, and when I was your age, I was able to find a job, and finally, long story short, I was in a foster home. So when I sit there, I'm not trying to be harsh. I live what she lived, but not to the extent that she did. And I understand it, and I love you. I just don't understand if you receive the fact that I've loved you from day one when you were 6 years old, and the incident happened, and you told me, Mom, why did I go through this? And the only thing that I told you was, what did I tell you? I told you, you know what? Sometimes God allows things to happen because you're strong, and you saved what? You saved another little girl that was going through the same abuse every single day. I jumped through hoops, then I fought for counseling. I fought for help.
Well, do you think you would benefit from some help and support where you had a chance to really give a voice to some of these feelings you deal with?
I just want my daughter to be better. I don't care what it takes. I just want my family to be better.
Well, I'm offering you some help and support with this yourself, so when she emerges from this in a different place, that you'll be able to meet her on a different plane.
Definitely.
And so I'm offering you that help if you want it, and I hope you take it, because I want you to be able to meet her on a different plane.
I want my family. I don't want my family.
I'm offering you that help. Will you take it?
Sure.
because I'm offering you that help. I wanted to see what you at home think about teens making their personal lives public. So we ask on drphil.com, do you think young adults share too much about themselves on social media? Results? 96% yes, 4% no. Surprise, surprise. Listen, I want to thank all of my guests today. A special thanks to Kathleen Parrish and the Cottonwood Treatment Center and their outstanding ability to help young adults struggling with trauma. You can learn more about them by going to their website, and we're going to have a link on drphil.com as well. We'll see you all next time. Thank you so much.
I'm grateful for Dr. Phil because I hope he talked some sense into my mother. He also, was able to see my side of the story. He really did understand that this isn't the lifestyle that I chose, that after being traumatized, it's hard to just jump back into the way of life.
I love Hope, but she's not the only victim.
My mom's always only cared about herself, her money, and how she's gonna survive. But when it comes down to it, she doesn't really care about how I'm surviving. The plane ride back is going to be bad because my mother is probably either going to be crying the whole time or cussing me out the whole time.
I was a good mom. I did the best that I could by my child. If she wasn't willing to accept my help or anybody's help, that wasn't my fault. I came here because this was the first time that she wanted to share her story. I just didn't know she was going to manipulate it or twist it to one side. But if it means that she gets the help that she is, then it's not in vain. My crying is fine. I'll deal with it. If it means her getting help, that's fine. I'll survive this. It hit me. I'm dealing with it. I'm crying. And as soon as I cry and as soon as I let it out, I know that tomorrow's coming. I can't take time off for this. I can't dwell in this as of tomorrow. Yeah, I'll think about it as of tomorrow. I'll hurt over it. But guess what? I'm planning on doing my job and pray that God finds a way.